If I say the word grammar, be honest, what's the immediate visceral reaction?
Oh, for most people, it's a flashback.
Right. A terrifying English teacher, a red pen?
Exactly. It feels like a list of, arbitrary speed limits. Do this, don't do that.
Memorize this rule so you can pass a test and then forget it forever. It's like bureaucracy for words.
It's a good way to put it.
But looking at the research you sent over for this deep dive, it seems like my high school trauma might be a little misplaced.
It's missing the entire picture. We think of grammar as a tool for correctness.
Yeah.
But if we go back to the beginning, to the ancient world, it wasn't about being correct. It was a high-stakes philosophical battlefield.
You mean high stakes?
I mean, we aren't talking about where to put a comma. We're
Yeah.
talking about the nature of reality itself.
Okay, that's a big claim. So the mission for today is to trace this legacy. We're doing philosophy's legacy to grammar.
It's a journey from, let's say, magic to medicine.
How did we get from philosophers shouting about truth to, a manual for fixing broken sentences?
Well, it starts in classical antiquity. And originally, the Greek word grammatistiki. It didn't mean complex syntax.
It wasn't about diagramming sentences.
Not at all. It just meant basic literacy.
So Grammar 1.0 was literally just knowing your ABCs.
Pretty much. You learned your letters. You learned to read the poets like Homer. It was just functional.
Okay, so when did it get complicated? When did it turn into a fight?
Enter the sophists. Guys like Protagoras in the 5th century BCE.
The sophists, weren't they the traveling teachers?
Right. And they wanted to prove they were smarter than everyone else. So they started nitpicking poetry, not to enjoy it, but to show off their cleverness, their dinos.
So grammar actually started as a way to heckle poets.
In a way, yeah. Protagoras famously went after the opening line of Homer's Iliad. You know the line.
Sing, goddess, the wrath of Achilles. Of course, it's probably the most famous opening line in history.
Well, Protagoras thought it was garbage. He had two main problems with it.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, he argued that the word for wrath, menace, is a feminine noun in Greek. But Protagoras said anger is a masculine concept.
Wait, hold on. He's critiquing Homer because he didn't like the gender of a noun.
That's exactly it. He thought the word should be masculine to match the aggressive, masculine idea of anger.
That seems incredibly arrogant. He's saying Homer's art doesn't match his gender stereotypes.
He was. But his second complaint was even pettier. He said that by saying, sing, goddess, Homer was using an imperative verb.
An imperative? A command?
Yes, and Protagoras argued you don't order a goddess around, you pray to her. You ask her. So he said Homer was being disrespectful to the divine.
This guy is the original internet troll. He's just ignoring the beauty to nitpick the grammar.
He is. But this is what sets the stage for Plato. And for Plato, this isn't just trolling. It's about truth.
Right. This is the core debate in Plato's dialogue, the Cratylus.
Exactly. You've got two guys, Hermogenes and Cratylus, arguing with Socrates.
And Hermogenes takes the view of conventionalism.
Right. He says names are just arbitrary contracts. If we all agree to call a horse a man, then that's its name. Simple as that.
Which feels pretty modern. I mean, there's no real reason a table has to be called a table. We could call it a glarb if we all agreed to.
That's the social contract view. But then you have Cratylus, who's a naturalist.
He's the opposite. He thinks names are naturally correct.
He believes that if you truly know the name of a thing, you know the nature of the thing itself. The name contains its essence.
That sounds almost magical, like knowing a dragon's true name in a fantasy novel.
It's very close to that idea. But Socrates, of course, complicates everything. He introduces the idea of the nomothetes, the name maker.
And he uses that analogy of a shuttle.
A weaver shuttle, yeah. A tool used to pass thread through the loom.
Yep.
Socrates asks, what is a name? He says it's a tool. But a tool for what?
For communication.
Even deeper. He says it's a tool for dividing being.
Dividing being. That sounds very intense for just a noun. But think about it. The world is this massive swirling chaos of sensory input.
Okay.
When you name something, when you say tree, you're using that word like a knife. You're cutting that specific thing out of the background, chaos.
You're separating tree from not tree. I get it. The word is the tool we use to carve reality into understandable pieces.
Exactly. And this is where the shuttle analogy really lands. If a weaver uses a broken shuttle, they can't weave. The pattern just falls apart.
Right.
Socrates argues that if a name is broken, if it doesn't correctly divide reality, then you can't speak the truth. You're not just making a grammar mistake, you are fundamentally failing to interact with reality.
So if I use the wrong word, I'm not just being unclear, I'm essentially hallucinating.
In a philosophical sense, yes. And to test this, Socrates starts doing these wild etymologies, breaking down names to find their true meaning.
Like saying Diphilos means dear to God.
Exactly. But then he kind of turns on himself. You notice that in the reading, right?
Yeah, some of them sounded, well, a bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he was really stretching. He was. And that's the genius of it. Socrates ultimately mocks his own method. He realizes that if you trace names back, you aren't finding the truth of the universe.
You might just be finding the false beliefs of the people who made the names up.
Precisely. So he hits a wall with individual words. And in his later work, The Sophist, he pivots. He starts looking at sentences.
Because he's dealing with that huge problem, how can we say what is not?
How can we tell a lie, basically? The ancient worry was, if you speak, you have to speak about something that exists.
So if I talk about something that doesn't exist, am I just making meaningless noise?
Or speaking nothing. It sounds like a stoner thought, right?
Totally. Dude, if I say I'm flying but I'm sitting, am I even talking?
It sounds silly, but a paralyzed Greek philosophy. Plato solves this by, well, basically inventing syntax. He distinguishes between onoma,
The noun,
ana, the verb, the action.
And you're saying this was a massive breakthrough, nouns and verbs. My 7-year-old knows this.
It was huge. Plato says a sentence, a logos, isn't a list of words. It's a simploque.
A weaving together. There's that weaving metaphor again.
It's everywhere. He says, take the sentence, Theaetetus sits. It connects a real agent, Theaetetus, with a real action, sitting. It matches reality. It's true.
Okay.
But now take Theaetetus lies. It connects a real agent with an action that is just different from his current reality.
So flying isn't nothing. It's just not what he's doing right now.
Exactly. It exists as a concept, just not in this specific weave.
Mm-hmm.
He saved us from having to be silent unless we're stating facts.
So Plato builds the loom. Then comes Aristotle, who usually comes in to tidy everything up.
And that's what he does. Aristotle basically shelves the whole nature versus convention debate. He just says, look, names are symbols by convention, period.
He strips the magic away, turns language into data.
He does. He even refines Plato's rhema. He says a verb isn't just an action. It has to carry a time value, a tense.
And he narrows the focus. He's only interested in logic.
Right, so he dismisses prayers, commands, poetry. He says, that's for rhetoric. I only care about declarative sentences, statements that can be proven true or false.
He sounds fun at parties. Sorry, I can't process your request for a beer. That's an imperative.
Pretty much. But humans aren't just data processors. And the Stoics push back hard. They bring the intensity back.
And they introduce that really difficult concept, the lectin.
The lectin, the sayable. It is hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Okay, think of computer code. You have the hardware, the chips, the screen. That's the physical object in the world.
Right.
Then you have what you see on the screen, the interface. That's the spoken word, the sound.
Hardware is the object, interface is the word. Got it.
But what connects them? It's the code running in the background. You can't see it, but it's the logic that makes it all work.
So the lectin is the code of reality.
Yes. The Stoics said there's the spoken word, a physical body, and the object, a physical body. The lectin is the incorporeal meaning that exists between them.
That is surprisingly high-tech for 300 BC.
It is. And unlike Plato, who got skeptical, the Stoics went all in on etymology. They thought the physical sounds of words could reveal the universe's code.
Okay, we have to talk about the ego example. This made me laugh out loud.
It's classic Stoicism. Chrysippus analyzed the word ego, the Greek word for eye.
And he argued that when you say it.
Your jaw naturally points down toward your chest.
I'm trying right now. Ego. Yeah, my chin goes down a little bit, but that feels like such a stretch.
To us, yes. But remember, the Stoics believed the mind wasn't in the brain. It was in the heart.
Oh.
So Chrysippus said the very word for eye was designed by nature to physically point to where the eye actually lives, the chest.
That's incredible. They thought the anatomy of your mouth was mapping the anatomy of your soul.
It shows how deep their belief was. They also accepted anomaly, that language was messy.
Okay, so we have philosophers debating truth and logic and souls via jaw movements, but then the whole scene shifts. We move from Athens to Alexandria.
To the library. This is the turning point. We go from philosophers asking what is truth to librarians asking, is this the correct spelling?
The birth of the editor.
Essentially, you have scholars like Aristarchus, whose job was to preserve Homer's texts. But they had dozens of different manuscripts, all full of errors and variations.
So they were linguistic detectives, not philosophers.
Exactly. CSI, Alexandria. They needed a system. So they shifted from anomaly accepting the mess to analogy. They started looking for patterns.
An analogy here means regularity, not metaphor.
Right. If a noun ends in this letter, it should pluralize like that. They wanted to establish Hellenism, correct Greek, to spot the fakes.
This feels like the exact moment grammar becomes a rulebook.
It is. And this mindset travels to Rome with a guy named Varro. He brings this Greek system to Latin using a great analogy of kinship.
The family tree of words?
Yes. Varro said words have families. If you know the father word, the nominative case, you can recognize the son, the other cases.
And he used this to do history, right?
Yeah.
The wine festival thing was fascinating.
The Vinalia. He argued that if the Romans had a festival called the Vinalia, they must have had the word vinum wine at that time.
That's actually really clever. It's like carbon dating with vocabulary.
It is. But let's jump forward to the man who really locks this all down. The technician, Apollonius Disculus.
Apollonius Disculus. His nickname was the Grouch, which tells you something. He's the father of syntax as we know it.
He is. And he introduces the metaphor that changes everything, the idea of pathology.
Pathology. Like disease.
Yes. This is the aha moment.
Ah.
Apollonius looks at language like a living biological body, a rational, healthy system.
So when I make a grammar mistake,
You're not just breaking a rule. The sentence is sick. It's suffering from a pathos, a disease, a corruption.
and the grammarian isn't just a teacher with a red pen. The grammarian is a doctor.
Precisely. Their job is to cure the sentence, to trace the error back to its healthy, logical, original form.
But people say illogical things all the time. Language is chaotic.
He would say that the chaotic stuff is the symptom of the sickness. He believed language reflects Fusus nature's order. He had this famous example with adverbs of place.
Where, whither, and whence.
Being in a place, moving to a place, moving from a place. He says that order isn't random. It corresponds to physical reality.
You have to be somewhere before you can move to or from it.
Exactly. The grammar mirrors the physics of motion.
And he applied this to time as well, this causal congruence.
This is a great one. He says you can't use a future tense with a causal conjunction about the past. You can't say, because I insulted him, he will be angry.
Wait, why not? That sounds like a valid prediction.
I-
I insulted him yesterday, so he's going to be mad tomorrow.
In colloquial speech, sure. But Apollonius is a strict doctor. He says causes must historically precede effects. Since the anger is in the future, the past insult can't be the cause in the strict grammatical sense. The effect hasn't happened.
So he's forcing language to obey the laws of physics.
Or he believes that healthy language already does. And if it doesn't, it needs to be set, like a broken bone.
Wow. This is such a long way from Protagoras heckling Homer. We went from, why are you ordering a goddess around, to this sentence is diseased because it violates causality.
It's a massive evolution. We started with Plato's weaving of truth, then the Stoic code, the lectin, and we end up with the grammarian's medical treatment.
It really reframes what grammar is. It wasn't invented to torture students. It was developed to map the logic of the universe and fix the sickness in our communication.
It was about ensuring our minds were in sync with reality.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on. If the technical grammarians believe that healthy language reflects the rational order of nature, what about our language today?
Oh.
I mean, look at our Twitter feeds, our fragmented texts, our emojis replacing words.
It's a terrifying question. If Apollonius looked at a modern social media feed, would he see the evolution of language? Or would he see a pandemic?
Would he say our broken sentences mean we've broken our connection to reality?
I think he'd probably prescribe us all a lot of bed rest.
Or at least a grammar textbook. That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the philosophy of grammar.
My pleasure.
See you next time.